so pumped up right
You
now.
got to let it build up. Let it just...
I'm so pumped up for college football.
Oh, there's A&M. I feel like I'm going to be seeing a lot of them next week. Or not next week.
Look at that. Jeremy Langford. Did you see that?
I did. Oh, look at that one-handed catch. Are you kidding me?
I've got it minimized. I can't even see these players.
Oh my gosh, with a stiff arm. Body slam.
That Tyner, I can't see the numbers.
Juke. Philly. Oh my gosh, he is so flippin' ridiculous.
They could just make a video off of Johnny Manziel.
Oh, so ridiculous.
Stupid.
Anyways, that was the intro to our Friday night college football show. I am Soccer Dave, David Kitchen. Joining me, my longtime friend slash... I mean, he's not a rival, but you guys should just listen to the drama that ensues in Skype. Only Dan is really privy to that, the infighting that goes on amongst us when we talk about college football and building lineups. Anyways, Natural Slugger, Ben Pritchett, you can reach him at Twitter, at Natural Slugger. He does all the college football analysis, and he does a pretty good job. I'll give him that because he loves words of affirmation. So we'll see.
It's my love language, isn't it?
It is. It is your love language, and we're here. We're here to give you. We're here to give you that. So, we'll see. We'll see how long tonight's show goes. I don't even know. We might have to take a commercial break. Ben, we might have to take a pee break. I would really prefer if you just you let me know. Like, we need a motion that you can give me that will let me know, hey, okay, well, there. So that will be the international I really have to pee sign. Dan gave that last week when he was bouncing on the ball like this. And he wasn't even laughing anymore. You could just see he was in intense pain. But tomorrow we have obviously a lot of FanDuel slates. I really like how there's so many college football games and the way that FanDuel breaks them down into early only, top 25. I wish they'd do a conference one if they're going to do all that, just to get some more action in there. And so we have the FanDuel slate that you wrote about, but we're also going to get into some DraftStreet plays. The DraftStreet 50K big score is tomorrow, and we're not just going to go over situations. We're going to go over actual players. And even though we have some skin in the game, I've got 3 entries, but I feel like I want to help you guys finish second through whatever. Am I right, Ben?
That's the truth. I mean, I have a very small bankroll because I try to keep my money out of the account because I know I'd play it if it was in there. I only bought 1 entry, so I don't have a whole lot to lose, but I really want to see an insider's guy take it down for sure.
So yeah, it'd be oh, Drew. Drew is feeling feisty tonight. He's saying that I'm going to get the 3 last places. Not true at all. Everybody knows I'll get the 3 second to last places. Because that's how I roll. But there are some interesting games tomorrow. And the thing with college football is there's obviously just a lot of news. So we're going to try to break as much down as we can, get to the questions that we have, get to some of the news and some of the question marks. There's going to be a lot. There's a lot of unanswered questions that we just don't know the answer to, but we can talk about the potential scenarios when that news breaks tomorrow, one way or the other. So look forward to that. Look forward to getting your analysis on that, and honestly to some of the questions, because I feel like with college football, it's as iron sharpens iron. Because I know you're pretty good before, when you're just doing it by yourself, but now that I'm, kind of feeding you, open your mouth, here's the airplane. You have been a lot better. So let's talk about some of the important news for today. What are some kind of storylines that you're looking at tomorrow that are make or break? I know I know a few has to do with the Oklahoma State program.
Yeah, the Clint Chelf or Walsh starting as quarterback is so huge, and we talked about this on Skype and things. Is just depending on who is the quarterback in that offense, is going to dictate the other guys you should take. And you are so in love with Josh Stewart, it really makes me sick. And do you know Josh Stewart's love language? I was just wondering. Do you know it?
Touchdowns. Ho!
Oh, yes, that's my love language too, actually. Um, no, and that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to down to Josh Stewart, and that's what Chelf is going to do. Rennie Childs, we think he's going to be the running back, but like you and I've talked about, it's going to come down to how many carries he's going to get. They love him. He's a true freshman, which is kind of scary. And it's an offense that has lacked a consistent running game all year. Jeremy Smith has 7 touchdowns. I think that puts him in the top 2 or 3 in the conference, but he's been pitiful with actually gaining yards this year. So they needed a change, and it'll be interesting to see how much they use Childs in this game.
Yeah.
I think they're going to use him. I think they're going to use him enough to where he is so super cheap across the board that you have to give him a look for sure.
Well, you have to look at that offense, even if they go Chelf, even if they go Childs, and he does. I mean, the big thing with Childs is making sure that he gets the touches. He had a good week last week, but it was on 10 touches. I would like to see that be in the 15 range against a pretty bad defense, to see that basically be a viable option. But like you said, at 4.5 on DraftStreet, he's definitely one of those gap fillers that has a high ceiling potentially, and that can allow you some salary cap relief. Josh Stewart, though, the Chelf move makes Stewart all the more better. Stewart last week kind of came out of that slump that he was in. His price on DraftStreet is still a little higher than I would have liked it to be. Last week it was at a beautiful 6.6, and now it's at a 6.8 on FanDuel, but in the 11 to 12 range on DraftStreet. However, I think the coaches have said they're going to try to get him the ball as much as possible. We'll see. I've got him rostered everywhere, though.
They need to get him the ball if they want to win the game, because he's the best player on the team. And it's DraftStreet. If you're looking at using him for DraftStreet, you have to remember he doesn't get any points for those returns. And I think last week he got a return touchdown, did he not?
He did.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he did. Yeah. And so that's great for FanDuel, but 0 for DraftStreet. So you got to keep that in your mind. I'm looking at his targets last week, David, and he was targeted 13 times. He caught 10 of them. The only people that rival him when it comes to the percentage are Brandon Cooks, Mike Evans, Goodley, and that's it. That's pretty good. That's good company. That's who you want to be
Jordan
with.
Matthews?
Matthews 11 out of 16.
Yeah. Matthews is going to get a ton of short. He's been getting a lot of short range targets because they're just doubling him whenever he goes 10 yards or more. So they've been doing just a lot of screens, and I think that against A&M they're going to continue to do that. Robinette at minimums, Thompson from South Carolina, and Mock, all minimum salary on DraftKings. So it's basically like play two of those three, and then whoever else that you want
for sure.
out of there. Let's talk though about that Texas A&M game. Some more news. The Johnny Manziel stuff. It looks like Manziel. It looks like he is going to play. And how are you feeling about his shoulder? If his shoulder is 100%, he would absolutely own Vanderbilt tomorrow. That is the only question that I have, because Vanderbilt has such a bad time with stopping spread offenses, running quarterbacks, the spread option basically. It's not even close. They did get another linebacker back, but I want to know what you think about Manziel's arm.
Dude, you're the Vandy expert, and I know you've told me every time I start talking about playing somebody against Vandy, you're always like, take them because they're so super thin in the back seven, which has worked sometimes, and then it didn't work with the Georgia receivers. Conley, you remember that?
He dropped a pass and he got stopped at the 1.
Yeah. So that was what we dealt with last week. So if it I'm looking at Johnny Manziel, and I'm approaching him. He's most expensive on both sites, FanDuel and DraftStreet, if we're looking at those two. And because of his shoulder, I'm giving him a lot less looks. I don't think I'm not going to say I don't think he will not be on any of my teams. I can go ahead and say that. I think his shoulder will influence the game. I just can't figure out. I wrote about this. I can't figure out if they're going to pass more or if they're going to run more. I'm leaning towards run more, which would then pull down Mike Evans' value. But I mean, like you said, David, you're a Mike Evans boy again this week.
Yeah, I really like Evans because I think that, well, I liked Evans when Manziel's shoulder seemed to be fine. If they say he's completely healthy, then I'll still continue to like Mike Evans, because and it's not just a Vanderbilt thing. No one in the country can cover him. I will say, though, that if they are going to be kind of conservative, then Molina is an interesting play there, because he's only 5.9K on FanDuel, pretty cheap. I think in the 7 to 8 range maybe on DraftStreet.
Yeah, it's 7-ish. It's like
if they
right
don't
at
want
7.
Manziel to get hit, then they are going to run him when they're going to run Molina, in the 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 to get into the end zone. They're just not going to risk it. I will say, though, the whole Heisman thing does come into play with these quarterbacks, and so that's why I think that Manziel plays no matter what. And he might, if his shoulder's okay, they might actually throw it more than they normally would, just so he can get those stats. On FanDuel, you got Jordan Lynch, who's going for the Heisman. You've got Carr, who's going for the Heisman. They really don't have a shot at it, to be honest. However, they still are wanting to pad their stats just so they can be included in the conversation. Both of those guys are pretty high priced. Lynch on both sites, so we'll see.
Let's go back to Molina just for 1 second. I think that Molina could be a little bit of a trap in this game. If you're thinking to fade the Johnny Manziel, I think Trey Williams, if you look over the past 3 games, he started to kind of niche a role that's very he's actually becoming the more feature back. He's the back of the future. And so it's kind of been interesting to see him. He's kind of taken that job from Molina. So it's a scary move to go Molina, in my opinion. I think there are other options.
Oh, that's why you're the expert.
Well, but I agree with you that Lynch and Carr are studs, and you should keep playing them because they want to be in that room, although they do have no chance. It's gonna be Mariota. Would you? I mean, I don't see anybody else taking it from him, especially if they're undefeated at the end of the season. Well, I take that back. Jameis Winston could do it.
Or Johnny Football. I mean, Johnny Football could.
No.
Don't say no, because he's in the running. If you look at his stats, they're compared to last year, still up there. If he has only has 2 losses, he's still in the running. However, yes, if Mariota finishes undefeated, he is head and shoulders above. He's even above Winston right now. Winston's going to have to. He's going to have to do a lot to continue to be up with that pace, but we'll see. Let's get on to some other games, some other news. A favorite thing of ours is to pick on the Cal defense because they're so thin. Washington, they've got Keith Price, but he's a little banged up with a sore thumb. They've got a bye week next week, so people thought that they might be resting him. Sarkisian says he's going to play. However, waiting in the wings, a guy named Siler Miles, who played in the fourth quarter last week, he could be amazing if given the chance against Cal tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a slight chance that I think you'll see Keith Price start the game, and then if it gets a little bit crazy, if they can move the ball with Sankey and score early, I think you're going to see a lot of Siler Miles. Siler Miles is, if you go to Twitter and you put in the name Siler Miles, you're going to see a lot of pissed off Washington Husky fans ready for him. And when we started early in the season, when we started doing these shows and we started talking about Keith Price, I was like, I don't believe in Keith Price. There's no way Keith Price is this good. And then we've now seen him just kind of fall to pieces, and he's injured, and it's given fans an excuse to call for the freshman, which you know how the backup quarterback is always the most popular guy on the team until he becomes the starting quarterback. So I think Siler Miles is a stud in the waiting, but he's still a freshman, and it's he's minimum price, but it's still not worth the risk, especially because Keith Price is now like probable, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, they just Price. Sarkisian said he'd be surprised if he didn't play, and that he looked really good. However, I mean, there is the small chance that Siler Miles gets the start.
You better wish upon that star tonight to catch him before you go to bed, because that ain't happening.
I did roster Siler Miles in all my Thursday night games.
No, that's the truth. So you're wishful thinking. Don't convince these boys to put Siler Miles in there.
No. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm saying that if the news comes out, especially in those late games, if the news comes out that he is going to be starting, that Price is not going to be playing, I'm saying you want to start him. And even on some of the other sites, I mean, even on like Fantasy Feud, he's $50K. So maybe tomorrow morning we'll wake up and find out more before those games lock. I'm sure crossing my fingers. A few other cheap quarterbacks across really in the SEC. Matty Mock, you know I was high on him last week. You know it. Even against,
and I shouted you down too, didn't I, Kitch? That's my fault.
I still had him in a few lineups. Everybody knows that I make like a million different lineups. So I still had him in a few of the earlier lineups. I didn't let you talk me off of him completely. So you have Matty Mock going against South Carolina at home still. I think that with the tall Missouri receivers, I read somewhere where the short secondary for South Carolina has had trouble with batting down high balls, something you know all too well about. So Matty Mock is in play for me. Dylan Thompson going against him is going to get the start. He's actually probably the better passer over Connor Shaw, I think, and he's the most experienced backup. So we'll see him. We'll see him in there. And then you've got Patton Robinette for the Vanderbilt Commodores against a Texas A&M defense that is just very leaky. As I think I saw STL say that they were leaky. But basically meaning they allow a lot of big plays. I just don't. It might be like the opposite of homerism coming into anti-homerism. No homerism, maybe.
It's called being a Vanderbilt
pessimistic fan. Very, I mean, yes, that's another synonym for it, but I just think that Vanderbilt's going to get absolutely,
I agree,
just murdered. Whatever that line is in the first half, if you're betting on it, take A&M, and then maybe in the second half, Vanderbilt's been a second half team. Maybe in the second half they do get garbage points. They are going to try to run the ball, control the pace. You got Jaron Seymour. I'm not touching him. either. Still don't know why I say touching with running backs. It's a bad habit. I'll try to get out of it.
Is it just running backs though, or do you touch all the players? Is it
I
just
try to
running
touch
backs?
on all the players, but it seems like I always like make the running back a little too sexual. I know
Is
it's
that?
a bad thing. So that's some of the news. What's some of the news that you've been hearing around college football?
Yeah, we're gonna pull off of the Draft Street player pool for just a second because I think a very important player, which some people may be mad for me even mentioning his name, is Colton Browning for Monroe. In that late slate, again, we're going back to that late slate on FanDuel. Um, he was Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year. He's been out. He struggled for the first part of the schedule that he had, but it was because he was playing ridiculously awesome football teams, and it has all the talent to be a huge play. He's minimum salary facing Georgia State. Georgia State. I'm sorry, I need to make sure that that's heard. I pointed out in the article that he had 5 games where he had 4+ touchdowns last year, and so that's sick. At a minimum salary play against a no-name opponent, it's pretty awesome. And it just got announced today that he is starting, so keep an eye on him.
So you are all up on that, basically.
I am all up on that. That's why I'm really, when it comes to playing FanDuel tomorrow, I have to be away from the computer all day, but I plan on just playing the late slate because I just think there's so much value there as opposed to some of the other slates.
And I understand that. What I would just convey to you is that it's a lot of the same players. So a lot of the people that you're telling to play Colton Browning are
Are
going
in this
are
room?
going to be in your leagues tomorrow. So overlapsies is
Crap.
something real. So
Well, you got to keep in mind he can run a little bit. They run him. I'm looking at his numbers from this year. It's not as crazy great, but he played Oklahoma first game of the season. He played Wake, who was showing that they are a decent defense, and Baylor. Didn't do a whole lot against those on the ground, but in 2012, I'm pulling it up right now. He had 9 games of 10+ carries. So you gotta like that when he's throwing for 3+ touchdowns and he's getting 10+ carries. That's awesome.
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 All right. If you're just now tuning in, this is the Friday Night College Football Show with myself, Soccer Dave, and Ben Pritchett, aka Natural Slugger, talking about tomorrow's games, hoping that one of us takes down the big score there on Draft Street tomorrow. I will say, I tweeted this out earlier, and I just tweeted out again, in 20 minutes. So when the clock strikes midnight Eastern, I will give the one play that you missed for your FanDuel analysis. And
I think you're teasing this way too much.
I saw
Kitchen.
some people. Well, it is a tease. And you also know what is a tease?
What?
That pose right there.
Did you learn that from Cam McDaniel?
No, this is my Cam McDaniel.
Okay, I want to see it. Man.
Can you do your Cam McDaniel? Okay. Well, we have just
No?
well, yeah, no. It's good for the whole creepy segment of the show that we are currently in. No, that's good. Let's keep it up. Let's talk about cheap options though, from creeper to cheaper.
Yeah, there you go. Well done. Well done.
Let's talk about cheap options though on Draft Street for tomorrow. Some lineup salary relief. Plop plop, fizz fizz. Oh, what a salary relief it is. Josh Harris at 3.4K, the running back for Wake Forest. Am I crazy for using him as a lineup filler?
Oh man.
It is not crazier than Kalfani Muhammad, your suggestion from last week.
You know, when I made the Kalfani Muhammad play, I'm going to defend that for a little bit. when I thought about, he made some good lineups though. By the way, by putting him in, you were able to do some really good like Taysom Hill, Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans type lineups.
Thank you for
So
the negative
you can say
points.
you can say whatever you want. It at least opened the salary door for the other guys. No, yeah, you're right. Kalfani Muhammad was a big bust, but I think it wasn't because Kalfani Muhammad is bad. It's because the Cal offensive line was that bad. In Oregon State, I mean, they got all over them. No, I don't think it's that bad. I'm looking at it right now. He put up 12 points against Maryland, but they're playing in Miami. Miami's defending an undefeated record, and they're, I think it's a tough play. But yeah, at 3.4, it's hard to not look at it if you're filling a spot.
Yeah, I mean he's a lineup filler. I'm not saying he's going to poop gold. He's not a gold pooper. But if he can like just poop anything of value, then
I'll tell you who I'd like better. Do you want to hear that?
Peyton with UCLA.
He's close. I like I've never heard this guy's name pronounced, so pardon me if I screw it up.
This will be good.
Jawan Seals from Oklahoma State.
No, don't. Why are you giving him this? Stop it.
Why am I giving who this?
Don't feed them this crap.
It's not crap. It's if Chelf is throwing the ball, he's a much better passer than Walsh. Iowa State's defense is awful. You got a guy at 3.4K who's got a much bigger chance at 1 point PPR to do damage than Josh Harris. Don't listen to David. Listen to me.
No, don't listen to Ben. The guy got one catch for 20 yards last week. He is a GPP play maybe if you're playing.
What are we talking about?
I'm talking about salary relief. I don't mind playing Josh Harris in a cash game.
Okay. Well, I went under the assumption we were talking about GPPs because that's what everybody in this freaking room wants to hear about.
Okay. Yes, we are sort of talking about GPP. That's my bad. I will apologize. However,
okay.
Sometimes I think with the industry, GPP means crap. Like, you don't want to say that's a crappy call. You say that's a pretty good GPP play. Meaning that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't agree with it, but it could be a GPP play. That is what I'm saying. But there's also, to go with Matty Mock at 8.1, you like a Missouri receiver that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, I actually like a lot of the Missouri receivers overall. I think they got DGB at 6 point. Yeah, he's going to be the one that's going to be tough to pass up. I know he hasn't done anything the past couple weeks. They've been getting the ball to other guys. LaDamian Washington is the speedster, the stud. And he's 6'4" speedster, if whatever that means. I mean, they don't have a speedster. But they have a bunch of tall trees catching the ball, and I don't care what team you're playing, it's going to be hard to defend against. But Marcus Lucas is who you're talking about, 3.8. Every week he tends to get a lot of catches. I think he's in the top 40 or 50 in catches. It might be even less than that. I'm just throwing that off the top of my brain because I remember looking at it. He gets, I think I'm looking at it right now, 5 to 6 catches a game, 40 to 50 yards. That should do about what you need from a 3.8K filler, especially if he can find the end zone.
So we've talked about those guys. We talked about briefly Jordan Payton at UCLA, who could see some. Your boy Kalfani Muhammad probably suggest staying.
Shadrack Thornton. Basically anybody from NC State is a good cheap filler, but yeah, you got to have some serious GPP balls to put that out there.
Why don't you just go ahead and tell them the starting QB for North Carolina State, who's in that 4K range?
Yeah, Brandon Mitchell, who completed all 3 of his passes before going down with an injury at the beginning of the year, so he's got 100% completion percentage. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah, Florida State's
it's stats.
They're so awesome. Like I walked away from the Clemson game thinking that Florida State's going to the national championship. So it's tough to pick anybody against them, even if it is like ridiculously cheap.
All right. Well, let's put away the Florida State Chubb for just 1 second. Actually, no. Let's bring it back up. Let's bring it full Chubb and
Bring
talk
it,
about
bring
Devontae
it,
Freeman since we're on it.
waist up,
Oh,
baby.
very nice. That works. That generally works for us. Let's talk about Freeman though for Florida State. He's cheap on DraftStreet and he's cheap on FanDuel. 5,400 on FanDuel. He's in the 7.4 range, I think, on DraftStreet. I like him. The only concern is that um, maybe they go with another back, but you got Wilder who is out. I think that for his price range, he is a good play tomorrow.
No, he's definitely a good play. He's 7K. Yeah, his carries have gone up every single week, and so he's solid. I think there's some other 7K running backs that are right there with him. I think Jonathan Gray is going to be a sneaky play because people are going to be thinking TCU defense, defense, defense. But Jonathan Gray is a stud. He is as talented a running back as there that nobody knows about. But he could sneak in there and do some damage. So I don't think that Freeman is a must play, but he's definitely a solid play, and I think he's going to be rostered, especially in this big score. He's going to be rostered all over the place. Let me see. I'm looking at another guy, Henry Josie. We were talking about Missouri. You're not with me on this one against South Carolina, but South Carolina lately has kind of shown some defensive problems, and Josie is taking over the job.
Let me tell you why I'm not on Josie. First of all, he did go down with an injury last week. He got back up and continued to play. But the reason why he got all those carries last week is because the other two went down with an injury. One with a concussion and the other one with like an ankle or toe. All three will be playing, they said earlier this week. So the fact that all three Tigers will be playing, the fact they spread everything out, they just don't focus on Josie. They had to last week, and that's when he got the majority of his yards. They had to focus on Josie last week because there just wasn't a lot of other options, and so when he went down, they thought they were really screwed. That's why I'm off of Josie. The guy, though, if we're talking about injury, talking about like coming back, there's a few guys that they're coming back off of injury, and if they're healthy, if those hamstrings are healthy, then they could be sneaky. One guy, we're not sure if he's going to start for sure, but Marcus Shaw, playing against Louisville tomorrow. I mean, last game that he was fully healthy was against Miami, and he had 127 yards and a touchdown with 18.7. And I think that he is I think he's around 6'4", 5'2". So he's 6.4 on DraftStreet, and if he's healthy, he could be a very good play there. But obviously, you're going to have to check on that tomorrow.
Yeah, he's a hammy though, man. It's a hamstring. That's the only thing that bothers me. Hamstrings can just pop back up, flare up out of nowhere, and then he's down again. Boy, he screwed me. Well, he didn't screw me on when he went down in the Cincinnati game, but he put a lot of my credibility behind him after he put up some huge performances in 4 straight losses, which is really ridiculous for a running back to be able to do that. So I kind of have a little bitter taste in my mouth from him, and hamstrings worry me. So it's a double whammy, I guess. But yeah,
the bitter taste from like your credibility being stripped.
I know that's
a weak reason because he was hurt.
It is.
Now you should like be bitter at me for like making the show run long a few weeks ago to where you had to pee in a cup live on the show unbeknownst to us. That strips you of your credibility.
I'm not
saying a
about
player
that.
is a
That's
good
game.
play and he gets injured, we all understand that injury all too well, because I was on Shaw that week too. The injuries are just a part of the game. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think well, let's get back to this. South Florida's defense is a lot better than people think they are. Their quarterback is playing like crap, and they are staying in football games. So if you're thinking about doing the Louisville thing, I would suggest giving it another thought. Just saying. Ever since, like, they got beat really badly by Miami, but against Cincinnati, they beat Cincinnati, they beat Connecticut, kept the scoring down with really bad play from their quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see what Louisville does. They could do great. It's just I think there's some scary moving parts.
The quarterback for South Florida, he's not really a factor, but Stephen Bench, you mentioned the other quarterback being Sucky. Stephen Bench is going to, he is also a game time decision. I think they put Shaw more of a chance at playing than Bench does, but on the other side of it, I'd like Devontae Parker on FanDuel for 7K. I think his shoulder is healthy, so I'm partly
touchdown machine.
Yes, I'm partly on that bandwagon. Let's talk about another guy that is coming off an injury, or a lot of people were on him earlier this year. You don't like his quarterback, but I think you agree with me that he could be a sneaky play. Some people have forgotten about him, and that is Shaquem Phillips for UConn, the wide receiver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for real. Like he's as talented as it gets once you get down there under the 6K mark on DraftStreet. But his quarterback is just terrible. And but if you look at the guy, I can't remember the name of the guy. Jeremy Davis. Yeah, he's been filling in decently. He had a couple really good games. He still hasn't scored a touchdown this year, but since Shaquem went down, he's been playing really well. Just Whitmer is just a mess. He is. And I don't like picking receivers that I have no faith in their quarterbacks. It's just the way it is. And Central Florida's defense is solid. They're 5-1. They're no joke. The only loss they have is to South Carolina, where they lost by 3 points. So to put faith in Connecticut players when they're 0-6, come on, you can do better.
Any other cheap plays that you like? Let's say 8K or less. That's generally your range on DraftStreet.
Can I do 8K? Can I stick at 8?
I just said 8K.
Well, does that encompass like 8,100? 8,200?
If you're going 81-ish, if you want to get a Ryan Jackson or a Cam McDaniel in there, you can.
Cam McDaniel's who I'm wiggling for. And it's really – wait, don't clip that, David. Please don't clip that. So, no, Cam McDaniel is the guy that I think is going to really be devastating. He's taken over that job in Air Force in Notre Dame. They're playing Air Force. It's on the road, but I think it's his job to lose at this point. The only problem that you're going to run into is now that stupid picture has blown up. I was on Cam McDaniel immediately following the game last week against USC. I was like, Cam McDaniel, he's the man. He's going to take this job. He has personal ties to us. So I've been rooting him on. But then, like, all of a sudden now we have this stupid picture mess, and he's going on Today's Show making a fool of himself. And we're all now wondering what's going to happen. Like, is he concerned about that? Or is he worried about, this whole publicity stuff? And I hate worrying about that stuff when I'm trying to pick players. But, yeah, he's 8,200 on DraftStreet, and Air Force's defense is pathetic.
I think you might be overstating that a little bit.
I know. It's playing the psychologist, and Tuttle gets on us all the time about trying to get in people's heads, like this is why they're not going to do
Cam
good.
McDaniel, I mean, it's not. He's just gone about his bit. It's other people throwing him into. So let's not even play psychologist just for a split second. What I do want us to play is before we get that, Duke Johnson, another guy, and DeAnthony Thomas. Duke Johnson, I feel fine with playing him. The only reason why I might be hesitant is if they rest some players going into next week for that big matchup with Florida State. But I really like him. I had him in a lineup versus he was going against Josh Harris, and they're in the same game. I don't like playing running back against running back, so I didn't play him. So I've come off him a little bit. But your take on Duke Johnson and DeAnthony Thomas?
Yeah. With Duke Johnson in this Miami versus Wake game, I am only on Allen Hurns. I think Dallas Crawford has established himself as the better back, even better than Duke Johnson, which is
Shut your
I
mouth.
know. I know, and I love Duke Johnson, like no kidding. But Duke Johnson has fumbling problems. He doesn't get the ball near the goal line, and so we're talking about fantasy. We're not talking about a game. We're talking about fantasy. And so, if we're talking about fantasy, then we need to focus on the guys that are going to score the points, and touchdowns are great. And so, that's our love language. And Dallas Crawford is the guy that has 9 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns if you include his receiving touchdowns. So I'm not as high as on Duke Johnson at 9.5 as you are. I'd rather have Allen Hurns at 9.6, who is now going to be the feature receiver with Dorsett down. So he has to be the big play guy if they're going to do anything. But with that said, Wake completely destroyed Maryland last week and broke all their receivers' legs. And so there's a little bit of nervousness on my part when it comes to their defense. I don't want them breaking Allen Hurns' legs.
Fair enough. Let's get to some questions. Then we're going to go over the draft day pick 5, and then we are going to get into the guy that I think is a must play. Are you? Is the bladder okay? Do you need to take a pee break now? Can you wait?
I don't think we have to. Take a break. I'm good.
All right. Well, good. Let's go. Let's answer some questions. We have somebody said. Oh, did you talk about DeAnthony Thomas?
No.
Okay, you talk about DeAnthony Thomas. Also, Laquan Treadmill and Drace Anderson on DraftKings. Drez Anderson. I'm curious as to your thoughts on Drez also on FanDuel. Because he's 51 or 52 still.
No, he's 53. Yeah, he's 5,300 on FanDuel. Let's go to DeAnthony Thomas. So here's the thing with DeAnthony Thomas. Love him. Think he's amazing. I think he's a great talent. I'm not playing him this week. I'm going to stay on the sidelines, fade him. I'll let everybody else try to figure out if he's going to have a huge game. Probably will do great. I don't doubt that he will have a great game. But Byron Marshall proved himself. They have Thomas Tyner. They have just so many other options. This will be an interesting game for both teams. UCLA has a lot to prove, and I think that they're going to keep this game tight enough to where you're going to see Mariota have to take the load. DeAnthony Thomas may not get the space he needs to really create. So, and that's just me speculating. He's got all the talent to be as explosive as he is every single week. So he could be awesome. I just don't know how he is coming off this injury, if he's legit or if they're just kind of rushing him back for a huge game. But with that said, they have taken their time. I shouldn't say they're rushing him back. They have taken their sweet time because Byron Marshall's been awesome. Who was the other guy you wanted me to talk about?
Yeah, let's keep these answers a little bit.
Sorry. Drez Anderson, 5,300 is definitely a play you should think about. USC is no joke on defense, so you just kind of have to keep that in your mind. There's some guys at the 5,700 mark I like better. So on FanDuel, what is he on DraftStreet? I've been so soaked with FanDuel this week. I can't remember.
He is 9,769.
Yeah, no, I'm not on that. I'm backing off. No way.
Okay. Well, Ben's backing off. No way. Drew says thoughts on Tyler Lockett, please.
Yeah. Big Tyler Lockett fan, especially the week he had one catch for 6 yards. Not a big fan if Daniel Sams is the quarterback, and that's what they're running the system of. Even when Jake Waters comes in, it seems like he's getting all the carries too. And so even with Lockett coming back, he's super cheap. He's an option. He's just a flyer option. He's not a dependable option. If they had Jake Waters as their quarterback on more consistent basis, I would love Tyler Lockett.
They want to know the guy in the background. Is that an MTSU doll in the background?
It is not a doll. It is a gnome.
Okay, they want to know. It's a gnome. So there you have it.
Well, and he's actually celebrating because MTSU just put a hurting on Davis Maddox Marshall Thundering Herd.
Take that, Gator Hoskins. I am
Yeah,
wearing the MT
sure.
hat for that reason. For the 1, 2, pride of the blue.
Proud in the blue, TSU Raiders ride.
MT. Laquan Treadwell. Obviously, they have a
Yes.
pretty cupcake matchup tomorrow. I mean, are you okay with playing Laquan?
Yes, I am. I'm definitely okay with playing Laquan. I think if you're going to play that slate, I'm not sure if it's offered across all sites. I know it's definitely not on DraftStreet. It's Laquan's 5K. Let's go back to Drez Anderson. If you have a choice between Drez Anderson and Laquan Treadwell, I'd rather have Laquan Treadwell. I think Dante Moncrief is still the top play in that game, and Bo Wallace. So there's all kinds of plays in that game. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly they get 40 points on Idaho, and that's going to dictate who scores the most points.
Tyrese Russell. He is the guy. Switch.
Did you? Is this the big announcement? That's how you give the big announcement?
This is how I give the big announcement. I'm just going to put it out there. Tyrese Russell. Because I feel like we're already 3 minutes past when I promised the people. So people you can tell in the chat, they're like, Soccer Dave, who is this guy that I must play? I'm like just scrolling down all these chats. And I'm not going to take 10 minutes with one player analysis like some people do. I'm just going to say, Tyrese Russell, just put that name down for tomorrow. Tight end. Mm-hmm. He plays for Eastern Michigan. I'm pretty sure he used to play for Northern Illinois, though. But he's going to get plenty of looks tomorrow. And he's a tight end, and he's $3K minimum salary. Their tight end, I feel like this week is kind of a toss-up. I know that you really like ASJ. I'm just not a big fan. Got one catch last week in the fourth quarter, and it happened to be a touchdown. I just cannot trust him even against Cal because he has had good matchups in the past.
Yeah, I don't know how I missed Tyrese Russell. That was a good play by you. I think when I looked at Eastern Michigan, it was just kind of like, do they have anybody that puts up huge points? No, moving on. And that was my fault. I should have caught that. I definitely should have had him over the injured Evan Ingram of Ole Miss. That was a huge miss. But yeah, ASJ leads the board this week. All the talent in the world. Usually I'm not as high on him. This week I love him against Cal. I think this is the game that if he is going to have a big game. Now that's a big if. If he is going to have a big game, it'll be this week. Is that good?
It is good, even though he has had good matchups in the past and just has not appeared at all. So that's why I'd rather.
I would argue. Wait. I would argue with you about how good his matchups have been.
Okay.
Other than Illinois early in the season when he was coming back from the injury, you look at across the board, he did okay against Idaho State.
This is a guy that was supposed to be like an NFL caliber tight end. You don't do okay against Idaho State.
But he is an unbelievable blocker too. Like that's, I mean, I know we're going back to the game, not the fantasy. I know, but no, that's why they've kept him in to keep pushing Sankey because Keith Price sucks balls so bad.
Okay, again. I'm not saying sometimes, Ben, you like to get in the mind of a coach and you like to say this is what they should do. I'm not saying what they should do. Should they roll him out more? Yes, not roll him out more. Should they get him into space more? Yes. Should they try to basically make him into a Jay Samaro? Yes. But the fact is he's not so far this season.
Well, he's got Jace Amaro by 50 pounds.
I know.
They're different.
Well, and
receivers.
Amaro is a guy that I'm not playing anywhere because OU's defense is so good against the pass and his price is so high. That's why Tyrese Russell Write it down, and there's probably
Jake McGee on
McGee
DraftStreet.
on DraftStreet. Gerald
Mm-hmm.
Christian for Louisville even at 3.9,
Yep.
but I like McGee. He's probably the safest cheap option there on DraftStreet. Let's go to Draft Day real quick, and the whole rapid fire thing. It always helps with answering questions that come up later because I know you want to give analysis. Jordan Lynch or Johnny Manziel?
Jordan Lynch. Well, when it comes to this game, the Jordan Lynch Eastern Michigan game, I think Stingley is going to be the play. I think that they're going to run. They're going to let Jordan Lynch get his carries and stuff, but when it comes to actually playing these guys in daily fantasy, then I don't know if I'm as high on Jordan Lynch this week as I am Stingley, but I think that they're both awesome plays. Don't get me wrong. I have Jordan Lynch number one. But yeah, Jordan Lynch.
Okay. Thank you
Sorry.
for that,
That was
circle around.
Yeah, really bad.
Is it Stingily or is it Stingily?
Either
honestly, way, it sounds like a 4-year-old is saying it. It was
true.
Stingily. Sammy Watkins or Jordan Matthews?
Sammy Watkins. Big, huge Clemson bounce back guy. And it's funny because I was listening to the radio on the way into work, and they had a professional bet analyzer, whatever you want to call him. What do you call those guys? I don't know. Whatever he was.
Bet analyzer is what I call them.
He got on the radio and he was talking about how, man, Maryland is this is my pick of the week, and Maryland is going to cover the 16.5 over Clemson. And I'm like, no way. There is no way Maryland covers this 16.5. Clemson is going to be pissed. Maryland has no talent left. There's no freaking way that Maryland hangs in this game. I think it's going to be a 4-touchdown win. So if you're a bettor, get all up in Clemson.
And we all know your betting credentials. Last week you nailed it with the whole SMU Memphis.
Yes, if you've listened to the betting stuff that I put on Twitter, I've nailed every single betting thing that I put out there. But I don't necessarily look at a lot of the betting stuff. But when I see stupid and idiotic lines that I just don't understand, 16.5 and thinking that Maryland can cover that is stupid to me.
Very nice. Trey Mason versus Amir Abdullah. Let's try to spend 5 minutes or less on this answer. And go.
Shoot. That's bad. Trey Mason.
You have to.
I didn't have him as an option to rank, so I didn't really get to research him as much. You
have to go Trey Mason, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. You have to.
Taj Boyd or Brandon Cooks. This is an interesting one. Keep in mind, on draft day, quarterbacks get 6 points for a passing touchdown.
Taj Boyd. I think Stanford does a decent enough job. I think they can either limit the yards or they're going to limit the touchdowns. It's going to be one or the other. Is it full point PPR on draft day?
Yes.
Okay, so that helps Brandon Cooks, but I'm leaning Taj Boyd. Big Taj Boyd rebound guy.
Yeah. Man, Cooks is just so good. I mean, he's almost matchup proof. I will say that I think that Boyd gets the nod in this, but it's not an easy one. It could be a toss-up for me. This next one, though, is an easy one for me. Jeremy Johnson versus Paul Richardson.
Jeremy Johnson, but I don't think it's as easy as you think it is.
You're Richardson's wrong. Playing against you are wrong.
He's playing against his cousin, man. Let's get some psychology back into this. He's playing against his cousin. He's going to want to beast him. They've been playing with each other for their lives. I mean, it's going to be a high intensity game for him. It's going to matter a lot. So he's going to be trying to put some serious points up. But yeah, I do like Jeremy Johnson. Jeremy Johnson is number one receiver. Okay. But I don't think it's easy though. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. You still have to have I get that his cousin is the cornerback Shaquille Richardson. I get it. Shit. I also get that they don't have a quarterback. Their quarterback is Sifo CFO, FIFO, FUM. I don't know who he is, but he only had like 12 completions, 8 of which were to Richardson, but it's not like the matchup is going to be easy. You still have to get the ball to him. That's why I think that Jeremy Johnson against Temple is a much, much better play. So we'll see. Fear the Turtle says
But
Thabo Cephalosha at QB for the
I'm
Buffaloes.
glad I'm glad everybody's back on the SMU bandwagon now. This is going to be a interesting game again this week. They moved the line back up to 60, so it's going to be a fun one. You got to get Jeremy Johnson in your lineups though, people. If he's down, I think what's he 12K on DraftStreet. I know we're pushing the line on that game. We're all putting lineups in, and everybody's going to have Jeremy Johnson now, which kind of if you play that way, it's kind of makes me upset. But whatever, I'll give it away. I like Jeremy Johnson. I also like Andre Williams. We can talk about him a little bit if you want to, David. We're both really high on Andre Williams against North Carolina. North Carolina let Miami rush for 270 something yards last week. And Andre Williams is a big boy who likes to get lots of carries, so he's going to have a huge game. He's 11.5. I also like Kadeem Carey a lot, even at 19.7. I almost try to prove that I can get him in my lineup and put a really good lineup together on this tournament. So, yeah, I think that if you're stretching for the running backs, you're gonna.
Sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you with that.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm
not talking anymore. You can carry the rest of this.
I really did not mean to do that. There's a reason why. Your feed is being choppy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a 3-minute and 40-second break. We'll talk about Williams when we come back. Ben, I'm going to exit out of this video and come back. We're still going to continue the stream live, but basically I need to reboot this video program. So while we're doing that, let's talk about let's hit the Fanium button, and we'll be right back. I promise.
Boy, he's getting a lot of free.
I have it my way. I'm the head coach. I call the plays. So focused on fantasy. Call me Mike Clay. In middle school, I drafted in my home. Now I do it all from the comfort of my phone. From inviting friends until I win the title. I destroy all rival things. Fantasy idol. Fantasy football. Out and she looks and she gets excited. Oh, what's that? A Young fantasy football. For my guys, finding sleepers is the motto. From Colin Kaepernick to Sam Colorado. When you go against us, I guarantee defeat. With real-time updates, you never miss a beat. Think you can beat me? Now it's time to show it. Fanny Young's in the App Store, download it. Start as a ball boy and reach the Hall of Fame. Then maybe y'all 'Cause I wanna know your fantasy. I better know your fantasies about football. Cream, candles lit, all alone, just me, and Fanny. My fantasy football app. That's right, sing it. On iTunes and Google Play. Go download it now. We're out.
Alrighty, we are back, and this is Insiders TV, fantasyinsiders.com. I'm your host, David Kitchen, and I'm attempting to get Ben back on the line. Let's see if we can get him. We're calling. Nice. We got him. He's here. Ben, did you go pee, yes or no?
No.
Why did you not go pee?
The masses wanted questions answered.
Okay.
So
Let's get back into... sorry, wrong screen. Let's get back into the guy that is probably the must-play for me on DraftStreet. You just
Who
were
is
talking
that?
about him. A segue.
Oh. Well, you were saying it was your must play. I was like, yeah, I think he's everybody's must play. Andre Williams. I mean, the guy's had what? He just two weeks ago he had 263 yards and 5 touchdowns. He's had two 200-yard games this year. North Carolina is really porous defense. So if Boston College, if they stack the line and they go after stopping Andre Williams, I don't think they can. He is so big. So I think he's going to have a big game.
Yeah. I mean, obviously North Carolina has trouble or has had trouble with in the past with the run. And I was checking. Sometimes it kind of makes you, when you see in college football, it's like when you see a legit running back, but he's playing like a legit team, you're like, uh-oh. But the fact that I think he is going to, or the fact that he has had success in the past is...
Are we calling North Carolina a legit team?
Well,
they're 1-5.
What I'm saying is, like, just the whole brand name. It's not like versus Temple or just some...
No, you're true. That's
some
right.
Cal sucky team. So yes, I will say. Nana says, "Soccer Dave, take your shirt off. I love you. You're the best thing about this show." Thank you, Nana, for those comments. I will not.
Oh my
take
gosh. Is that your Nana, David?
No, it is not. It is
No?
Grant's Nana.
Oh.
So, anyways, let's get to some more plays. Carlos Hyde, 7,700 on FanDuel, 12,000 on DraftStreet. He is right up there with must-play status.
Yeah, I feel stupid for reading enough news clippings to keep me at bay with him and kind of keeping him buried in rankings if I even ranked him.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah. What? Thank you for what? Am I acknowledging me being wrong? Is that what that was?
For taking some responsibility in trying to sabotage my lineup last week. That is what I'm thanking you for.
Dude, Iowa had the number 1 rush defense in the nation. Number 1. So if you went in last week to rush Carlos, to just put Carlos Hyde in your lineups without even thinking about it, it wasn't really that smart. I mean, I'm just being honest, but yeah, he's legit. I mean, there's maybe you know more than I did. That's what I should say. He is every bit legit as advertised. ridiculous. He's going to put up good numbers no matter what Penn State tries to do against him. Jordan Hall is an afterthought. He's done.
Done, son. And also Braxton Miller, his effect on Carlos Hyde is not what it was. So
Nothing.
7,700 again. He and Stingly, whatever you want to call him, makes me all tingly. As does Sankey there at 9K and Kadeem Carey. I think Kadeem Carey, no one's going to really pay up for him. So if you can find a way to get him in your lineup there on FanDuel or DraftStreet and find some fillers that go off, then you're going to have a lot of differentiation there, because a lot of lineups are going to be looking the exact same tomorrow, on FanDuel at least.
No, you're right. You're definitely right. And we got a question in the chat about Isaac Bennett, and that is a really good question.
That is a great question.
Yeah. It's a really stupid, awesome question, but David's not going to know the answer to that, and I'm not going to know the answer to that either. We are hearing that James Conner is going to play, so
he could have played last week.
Yes,
and they chose not. They chose to ride the Bennett train, and Bennett had a great game, and Conner, who had a good matchup, burned some people. I think like Grant. And he's basically going to. I think they're going to split carries. If we're getting into the mind of the coach, I think they're going to split carries. But still, for their price, I mean, they're both around minimum salary on FanDuel.
They both are. Like Connor's 46 and Bennett's 45, so they're minimum or 100 above minimum. So yeah, I think you're exactly right. Split carries all the way. They already said that Bennett's earned more touches, which is not going to be good for Conner.
Not good at all. I don't even know that. It was supposed to be Terminator. It turned into like Sean
Connery?
It was bad. It was really bad. Let's talk about the quarterback position, though, on DraftStreet. Who are you looking at quarterback? I'm going to throw out some names. You got low.
Can I do yes or no, so we don't have to really? Well,
no. You can just list. Like I feel like sometimes you go into paragraph form when really all we're looking for is bullets.
Okay.
So let's.
I'll do one sentence. You give me a name, I'll give you one word.
I mean, it's hard for you to water things down. I get it, but let's water things down just for brevity's sake.
Okay.
Logan Thomas.
Like him. Play him. Is that not good enough? I think Logan Thomas is taken over that running game, and he's got a great matchup. If you're going to go cheap, Duke can't stop the pass, and he's been doing better every single week. So I'm looking at his consistency.
Garrett Gilbert.
He had a little
16K. Garrett Gilbert.
Garrett Gilbert is I would call him my number 2 quarterback in that range, that 15-ish K range. My number 1 quarterback would be
Taj Boyd.
There you go.
So do you want to even talk about Taj Boyd? I feel like you already have kind of talked a lot about.
I have. Yeah, move on.
John O'Korn.
Love him. Dude, did you just read my response to, I think it was Kalani about the quarterbacks? No? No, yeah. O'Korn is my number 2. If I were to just submit my roster on DraftStreet right now, not make any changes, I'm trying to figure out how to get Kadeem Carey in my lineup. But if you were to just leave it like it is, it's got Taj Boyd and it has Brett Hundley, but I can easily go to O'Korn. I think O'Korn and Hundley have different strategies involved behind them, but they're generally the same value. I think Rutgers' defense is obviously way worse than Oregon's, and O'Korn is they're going to keep throwing the ball. But Hundley has those nice legs. I like that.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So if you had to choose, you would choose O'Korn over Hundley, is what you're saying.
Like I said, Hunley's in my lineup. O'Korn is sitting there being really sexy, wanting me to put him in my lineup. So, in your words, I would want to touch O'Korn, move him to my lineup if I had multiple lineups. But as of right now, it's Hunley paired with Shaq Evans, which is not the smartest play, but we're doing a GPP, so I get to be not smart, right? Is that the way it's?
You always have that. You always have that opportunity should you choose it. Hopefully you won't choose it too much.
I think Matty Mock. Before we go on, I think Matty Mock is the other number 2 option. I'm going Taj Boyd. I've already decided that. So it's just figuring out who the number 2 guy is going to be. I'm still struggling with that because, like I said, I want to get Kadeem Carey.
Mock and Gilbert. Look into my eyes, people. Matty Mock. This is freaking Mocktober. All right.
I have no
Matty
problems
Mock
with that.
and Garrett Gilbert. 6 points for the touchdowns for Gilbert. He's going to be throwing for over 400 yards tomorrow. Do it. Do it. Nana says, I love your eyes. You are so handsome. How did you get so handsome? Nana, I cannot answer that. I cannot. I will not. Let's talk about that USC game real quick. Status on Trey Madden. Obviously, there's the Marquise Lee angle. What are you hearing from your USC sources?
Yeah, no Marquise Lee. Trey Madden's still kind of questionable, kind of up in the air. No Justin Davis, who is the stud little guy coming in that was stealing carries from Trey Madden while Silas Redd was out. Silas Redd is a stud. Read my article. I like Silas Redd a lot. If you can find the spot for him, I think he's going to get plenty of carries. He played really well last week. I think he's solid. I'm not touching Trey Madden. Don't even go near him.
Oh, okay. So you're not touching Trey Madden. Are you touching?
Actually, I'm looking at it right now, David. We have this just in. We have music for that. Trey Madden is probable for tomorrow. So don't listen to anything I just said about Silas Redd because Trey Madden will pull carries off of Silas Redd, obviously. So I'm not as high on Silas Redd as I just was.
Well, good.
30 seconds ago.
All right. Well, we have time to spare. This is a Friday night, and we're all on the computer with our web friends and, doing the cool thing. So we got tons of time to spare. Let's look at the lineup. Nana, if you write Cook one more time in the chat, I will have to do something.
Who the hell is Cook?
It's not Brandon. It is. He's talking about this. He's talking.
Connor Cook from Michigan State.
Talking about the
talking
song.
about him.
So, no more freaking Cook.
It's probably better than what we're doing right now.
All right. Well, so let's change that. Let's talk about the lineup here. Let's put together a pretty good lineup, and I will use this as one of my teams. Can we do?
No,
yeah,
you won't.
sure. Why not?
You promise?
No, I'm not going to promise, but sure. Because things could change, so I'm not going to promise. But I mean, it is my intent to do so.
Nobody can copy this, then, right? Because you're going to be sharing cash with somebody in our chat.
Listen, I share cash with everybody in the chat with all these picks. I am basically giving out cash, mainly to the sites that we're all donating to. But with that being said, don't sabotage my team, okay? Do not sabotage my team. I will give you one sexy pick to put on this team, no more, because
I'm not going to sabotage your team. I want you to win. I already said I get my enjoyment out of success, out of Fantasy Insiders people. So doesn't matter if I win. If one of us wins, that's great. I'd like to win because I don't want to lose $100.
$100?
A whole Benjamin, man. That would sting. It would hit me.
Okay, let's get to this. Let's get to this team. I will go first since I am picking the team, and I will go with Matty Mock.
Nice. I like that move. I mean, it's a smart move for the price. If he does what he did last week, you're golden. So, I'm gonna go Jeremy Johnson. We can always move this around a little bit, right? If we
Listen, there is tons of wiggle room with this bad boy.
Okay, good.
Tons of it. I will go ahead and go with my boy Shaquem.
Ooh, Shaquem. All right, let's run Jake McGee out there. Let's get a framework going.
Framework engaged. Jake McGee played.
Got it.
I need to go Williams, since he's the guy that we must play.
Yeah, I like that. Do it.
You like it?
I like it. Oh, Lord. All right, so it's balls in my court. I'm torn. I'm really torn. Maybe I'll try to get both these guys in there. I'm going to go Jeremy Langford, Michigan State at Illinois.
I love it, actually. I do. I really do love it.
There you go.
All right. I'm going to go somebody that you talked about, and I told you it is a sexy play and it is a gut play. However, this might be a gut play that works, and that is a guy named Brandon Coleman.
You better shut your mouth.
I'm on him.
No,
I
you shut
am
your mouth.
on him.
I'm
No,
gonna walk out.
stop it. Benjamin, you sit there and take this. The reason why we had this little argument yesterday is because you said he was playing against short corners and had a great matchup. Then I pointed out the fact that he's had great matchups this whole season. It's a complete gut play that I would agree with. I am touching him. I'm touching Coleman. However, it's not because he's an automatic by any stretch of the imagination.
No, he's definitely not an automatic. At 8K, he's not. He's much cheaper on FanDuel. No, I can't believe you just did that to me because you let me write a whole FanDuel where he's cheap plays, and I say, hey, David, I need one more wide receiver. You got a wide receiver? I think I like Brandon Coleman, and this is why. And then you spent the next 20 minutes telling me why I should not use Brandon Coleman.
No, again, I was saying, and I hate to air all of our dirty laundry in front of everybody.
Well, put it out there,
Well,
big
you
boy.
would like that, wouldn't you, Panama Red?
Yeah, let's do it.
What I was saying is that your reasoning for it. He's 6'6", and you said he's playing against a secondary that their best secondary players are not over 5'11". Hey, that is college football. If you're over 5'11", most of the time you're either going to be in a big time program with big time NFL stock, or you're going to be a wide receiver. So most people are 5'11" or less, and he has played people like Norfolk State. And yes, they did run. Yes, Paul James was there, so you can include that. But just saying that he is a good play because he's 6'6" and someone's 5'11" and they have a good matchup, he's had plenty of good matchups this year. And if Tyler Kroft can do it, Brandon Coleman can do it. So that is why I was saying that.
So I researched the crap out of Brandon Coleman, so we can talk a little bit about him just real quickly. I watched video highlights after video highlights of this kid so much. Anything I could find on YouTube, I was trying to figure out, what's going on with him, what's wrong. It seems like he struggles when teams bump him at the line. Whenever he's getting to these huge plays and the touchdowns and stuff, it's when he's getting behind defenders. He's not taking advantage of his 6'6" size. He's only 220, which for a 6'6" player is small. You know how that is, Kitchen. So it's just for me. He has a little risk at 8K. I'm not willing to to necessarily pay that. So I'm kind of against this play personally because I think there's some 7 point ish guys that I think have lower floors, or what is that? Higher floors, lower ceilings. So
You're going to, I mean, you're going to have to at least play one receiver, if not two receivers in that flex spot, because you're going to need a lot of catches and a lot of yards to win this thing. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to win it. You know, I'm not trying to place. I'm trying to win it.
what about Eric? Okay. What about Eric Ward?
I like Eric Ward. Again,
He's 7.4. He's 600 cheaper.
listen, I played him last week when he had
LaDamian Washington, you have Matty Mock.
and I don't have a problem with pairing him with DGB in the 6K range. With Ward, I played him last week a lot. He let me down in a good matchup. He has an even worse matchup, and
No. I
I
understand
just
that. I
said
understand.
that. I just said. So that is my reasoning.
Okay, then I'm gonna go LaDamian Washington here.
What are you doing to me?
I think that you can leave yourself open for a huge running back here, can't you? If you play the quarterback right.
Okay, we have 16076. So
Well, let's see who's your quarterback.
I
You
would
pick
just-
your quarterback because I think you need to pick your other quarterback.
I
real
would
fast.
rather you go DGB than LaDamian Washington. But no,
Okay.
no,
Okay, I'm fine. It's your team. I'm not putting this in.
Well, you're right because you
Here,
don't have the stones.
here. So it's 16.4 per player left.
Okay. 16.4. I feel like that's a lot. So let's go crazy. Let's go crazy on running back. Shall we?
Shall we? I think you should.
Let's see what we can get. Okay, Carlos Hyde is kind of an obvious. That would let us play a pretty big. So let's just put him in just for heck's sake to see what we have. It means could we play? Ooh, we could play Bryce Petty or Winston. However, that's not good enough for me. I want to go big.
Ooh, you going big? You're going big
No,
at
no, no,
quarterback?
no. I want to go big for my running back, and so I'm either going to take Carey or Sankey. Which one
Okay.
should I take?
Who let's put Sankey in. It'll give you more money. Makes you have 14.9, which almost gives you Taj Boyd, but not quite.
Ah.
You're 50 short, and that's what DraftStreet just drives you crazy with that stuff, because you think you got it, you think you got the team, and then you can't put Taj Boyd in. So
Damn.
you gotta redo the whole thing.
All right. Well, so let's come off Brandon Coleman then. Since we already
do
spent 20 minutes talking about him.
I think Brandon Coleman was a bad pick personally, so it should open up the bank account if you hit a guy that's 7.
All right. So we have Nick O'Leary, who's a guy. Trayvon Green has been terrible, but he's that guy that someone's going to play, and he's going to get you 30 points tomorrow.
That's a good point. That is something people should pay attention to that have like unlimited amount of lineups that they're putting in this thing. If they're putting in the 10 lineups, then you could throw in a crazy Trayvon Green that could revert back to the first 2 games of the season. But yeah, good. That's a good
right.
point. I wouldn't. Put
So
it
do
in,
you?
though.
So let's
Don't do
go. Do you want to go Ward then?
Are we insisting on going?
No, I'm playing a flex. So, but I mean, as you can see, the running backs are not.
You have Jonathan Gray, James Poole, Marcus Shaw.
Yeah, those guys are way down. Eric Ward, as much as I talked off of him, he still could go off.
It depends. They could concentrate on taking Jace Amaro out. I could not. I'm surprised teams aren't just focusing on him and making Texas Tech beat you with the outside receivers. Ward's not lost a step. He is fine. They just can't get him the ball. That's the problem. They're not getting him the ball.
Holy crap.
What?
Dink might have just solved it.
What did he do?
Go Caleb Smith at tight end instead of McGee. Go Taj Boyd.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Then
See,
you
it's
can
hard
play
to
your
make a
Cam
wi-
McDaniel play. No. F that.
Nope.
I'm going Braylon Addison.
Okay. No, I'm behind that. Braylon Addison made my top 15 wide receivers. Put it out. Do it.
I'm putting it out. I'm putting out all the vibes for sexiness. So there you go. That would be the lineup that we created in 30 minutes here on the show.
And that'll be the show. Cue the music.
Let's transition to if you did zero out a lineup, Tommy, then I will be very, very impressed. Very impressed. Anytime you zero out a lineup, we've talked about this. It's like the feeling that you just have to play it. You have to play it. So
We haven't come up with a name for it, though. Somebody come up with a name for zeroing out a lineup on DraftStreet. Seriously. It needs a name.
just say zeroed it out.
Zeroing out's not good enough, man. That's so generic. It's so special that it needs like an occasion, like a day of the week.
Nana goes with cooking. Somehow I feel like meth has been that. They have been watching too much Walter White.
Yeah, I think it's
Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero wins. It's not really sub though. It's at zero. So it's like right, no, Tommy, we get the Mortal Kombat reference. We get this.
Finish him.
All right.
right.
Well, maybe someone
Losing
could come up with some shows. I did play Mortal Kombat with Finish Him. I'm saying Sub-Zero doesn't really apply to zeroing out lineups. We'll see. As far as FanDuel, let's switch back to FanDuel. Some plays that you liked in your article. Why don't you just kind of go over a bullet list of plays that you do like?
Okay, read what I said about Jameis Winston. I spent a ton of time on him because I was trying to debate what to do with him, and kind of the more I researched him, the more I liked him. Was on him before the season, then didn't think he could keep it up, but I was wrong. O'Corna love late slate quarterbacks fails versus Smith, special game there. If you can figure out the right combo, love the cheap wide receiver out of San Jose State. I think he's also a Tyler Winston. So if you could do Jameis Winston and Tyler Winston, then you get a cookie. We already covered the running backs. I mean, just run through them. They're all pretty straight. If I had to do the rankings over again, I'd probably not have ranked C. Strunk against Kansas or Abdullah. I probably would have put Abdullah farther down. Love Gaffney at Oregon State. Got 36 carries last week. They're going to do that same strategy. Keep the ball out of the hands of Mannion and Cooks. Push the ground game, get the carries, get the yards. If Gaffney's doing well, he'll have a huge game. Brandon Oliver. Why don't you talk about Brandon Oliver, Kitchen?
I like Brandon Oliver. I think he's a guy that, I mean, his price, he's just been tearing it up. His price is, can you play him on anywhere other than the late slate?
I don't think so. He's definitely not on DraftStreet, but I haven't looked at a lot of other sites. You know me, I'm obsessed with sticking to the DraftStreet FanDuel combo. I need to be expanding into like Draft Day because I hear that their product is awesome. So I need to get over there, and Fantasy Feud and Star Street and some of the other spots that I play on other sports.
Yeah. Brandon Oliver is If you missed it, like the first time I heard of this guy was earlier in the month. He had a sick move I think it was Eastern Michigan, looking at his game log. But he has had some great games. I think he's going to be a great play tomorrow for that running back position on FanDuel. Let's see. Chilltown says thoughts on Allen Robinson. Definitely an interesting play against the Ohio State University. Do you think that he can? I mean, obviously, it's going to come down to Hackenberg, but do you think that they can get him the ball?
I do. I think they definitely can. I have Allen Robinson as number 11. So if you look over but see, this list includes all the slates. So if you look at just the top 25, I have him on the top 25 list. I have him as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's sixth of my receiver choices for the top 25. And the guys in front of him are more expensive for the most part. So, yeah, I like Allen Robinson. Ohio State showed last week that if they can struggle against Iowa, then they can struggle against Allen Robinson, who has he's like that Des Bryant type body he's strong, he's fast.
Why do you always this is not for those that don't know,
it's a meat market.
Ben and I have been friends for forever, and our friend circle always made fun of him in college because he would always talk about athletes' bodies. Like, dude, have you seen that body? He's got a John Cena body.
They made fun of me that one time because I saw the guy on the road that had the ridiculously manicured hair, and I was like, he must use conditioner.
You're just incriminating yourself. That's not even what I'm talking about. But you always talk about, your favorite issue magazine is the Body Issue.
Oh, I know I never said that.
Well, I'm pretty sure that you did. Minimum salary guys on FanDuel. Let's talk about minimum salary guys on FanDuel. We'll take any questions that anybody might have. Here are some minimum salary guys on FanDuel, especially the wide receiver position. Ben, I'll let you cover running backs because that's what you probably have studied the most. DeVaris Daniels with Notre Dame. Is it DeVaris? I don't care what his name is. For me, he's up there with Jones as far as options for Notre Dame, and he's the cheaper one. He's $4,500, so I think that he is definitely an option against Air Force tomorrow. Malcolm Kennedy at $4,600 for Texas A&M. I think that they're going to score 40, 45 points against Vanderbilt. There's going to be a few touchdown passes, and I could definitely see 1 or 2 going to Kennedy. That Washington-Cal game, getting back to that, there should be lots of passes to go around. You don't agree with me, but the guy that I like the most, and this is kind of a gut call, but the guy that I think is going to he lines up outside. Stop that! I don't even know what that is.
It's the P signal.
Oh crap! Dang it! I missed it. Okay, all right.
I'm just kidding. You were going too long.
Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is the guy I think is going to is.
Is he white?
I don't know. I don't look at skin color or bodies. I don't. I just don't do it. I don't know his body fat. I don't know his 6-pack or 8-pack.
How many Kevin Smiths are there when I'm searching for him on ESPN right now? Did you notice what I said about Mike Davis? How far down Mike Davis is when you search for him on ESPN? It's stupid. He's like the 10th Mike Davis that you have to choose from. It's ridiculous. They need to move him up. He's earned it. He's earned the top billing as the best Mike Davis. But yeah, go on. Kevin Smith.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
he's a big boy. He's strong.
He is 5'11", 214. Okay.
I like
so
that.
he's pretty stout. And he's from Compton. So probably answers your earlier question, but you like Keenan Williams. Kaysen Williams.
Kaysen?
Well, Keenan is his brother. You like him, but Kaysen.
Keenan and Kaysen.
You like
in living color.
High five. You like Kaysen Williams as a the minimum salary receiver.
Not yeah. I mean, I wouldn't. Don't put me in that boat necessarily. I have a bunch of other wide receivers that I think are better. If I really liked him that much, I would.
Okay, so 4,500. What are wide receivers that you like better?
What?
What are some wide receivers you like better?
What slate are we talking about?
Any slate.
Minimum wide receivers are going to be hard to come by. So when I was making this list, I actually laughed because I didn't have a single minimum price wide receiver in the whole list.
So why? So then why are you saying that there's a lot more minimum salary wide receivers? I go to you, and then you can't answer.
You're latching my wagon to Kaysen Williams, dude. This guy hasn't done anything all year. I mean, he was fine last year, but man, that guy has been garbage this year. So I don't really want to be associated with it. But yes, I would. There are other options. I like Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Let's go back to that one.
Let's go back to running back. Give us some cheap running backs that you like, and then we'll call it a night.
Okay, I have plenty of cheap running backs, 45 minimum salary running backs. Cam McDaniel, he's $8K on DraftStreet, but he is minimum priced on FanDuel. Love that. Dree Archer, 100 yards rushing last week, which you got to love. He's always going to get the passing numbers. He's consistent. 80 yards passing, 80 yards receiving, and a touchdown. If he gets any rushing yards, it's great. He's going to be active in the return game, playing against Buffalo. He's going to have opportunities. Like him at 6K, another cheap option. Jared Lawson is a guy that after I did a lot of research kind of came to the surface when I was looking. Last week he had 98 yards and 104 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Vegas thinks this game is going to be the highest scoring game. I think they have the highest point line. So getting in this game in the late slate, I'm all about it. Do it. Love it. Let's see. Who's my other? We talked about Silas Fred kind of coming down off of that a little bit. Langford is 6,100. He should be in everybody's lineups in the early slate. Love Street. That he's a wide receiver though. But yes, I love Devin Street. Offensive pit has to have Devin Street performing well in order for them to be successful. We've seen that all this year, and Devin Street is so talented. It's funny to me because I was off Tyler Boyd because I thought Devin Street was so great. Devin Street makes Tyler Boyd better. So whatever you want to do with that, Tyler Boyd's a little bit cheaper. Or no, he's way more expensive on FanDuel. He's a little bit cheaper on DraftStreet.
Yeah, Street is 5,700, and it still kind of scares me. Savage just has not been doing well, and obviously they're going to feed the running backs. Those running backs are 2 other minimum salary guys. If you can figure out which one to play, also your boy Childs. If you want to go super risky in a GPP, he is 4,500. As far as the quarterbacks, Robinette and Dylan Thompson. Dylan Thompson for 4,500. Man, it is just sexy. Even though it's on the road against Missouri, just so sexy. And keep an eye on that Keith Price, Siler Miles deal. If Keith Price is out, then Siler Miles might be your play. Anyways, if you have
wait. Give me Colton Browning on the late slate.
Yes, Colton Browning. Thank you for mentioning that. Colton Browning on the late slate, and also Tyrese Russell for your minimum salary tight end, and call it a day. So there you have it. Guys, it's been fun. We made it under midnight. Woohoo! 5 minutes left.
First time.
First time. So bottoms up. Let's make it a late night. I've got some lineups to build, so we will holler at you later. Ben, are you going to be Are you going to be around to answer questions tomorrow or not?
I'll be around for the first part, very early morning and right now. So if you have any other questions, hit me in the chat. I'm going to be building lineups right there with you.
All righty.
I've never seen a diamond in the flesh.
Oh, that's my jam.
It is?
I'm Queen Bee.
In a torn up town, no postcode envy, but every song's like gold teeth, gray goose dripping in the bathroom.
Soccer Dave tearing up DFS.
We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams, but everybody's like crystal Maybach.
I don't know the.
Oh, it's terrible. We're losing viewers, but good thing we're signing off. Guys, this has been FantasyInsiders.com, Insiders TV, the Friday Night College Football Show. Check us out on Twitter, at InsidersDFS, at SoccerDave, at Natural Slugger. We'll be around to take some of your questions also in the chats. And on that, we're out.
Let me live that fantasy.
Football.